Crucial 13, you are appreciated. Shout out to you.
Get crucial.
I'm hungry. I need some bacon.
Look at this. Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now. Stay tuned for this. Hit the like button, subscribe, because I'm about to show y'all why America is so crazy right now. If you've been wondering why. I know like some of the country gonna be like, hey, America's just fine. This ain't for you. Go. Now what you see on that screen right there, because we're gonna show you some clips from Yuri Bezmenov is his name. But what you see on the screen right there is called Demoralization, which is an act of warfare, right? So it says demoralization is in a context of warfare, national security and law enforcement, a process in psychological warfare with the objective to erode morale among enemy combatants and or non-combatants that can encourage them to retreat, surrender, or defect rather than defeating them in combat. And we got a lot of defectors here. And I know a lot of y'all don't believe in right and wrong or moral and immoral. This ain't for you. Bye-bye.
So, on the stage of demoralization, obviously there are tendencies in each society, in each country, which are going to opposite direction from the basic moral values and principles. To take advantage of these movements, to capitalize on them, is the main purpose of the originator of subversion. So we have religion, we have education, we have social life, we have power structure, we have labor relations, unions, and finally we have law and order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? These are the areas of application of subversion. What it means exactly? In case of religion, destroy it, ridicule it, replace it with various sects, cults, which bring people's attention, faith, whether it is naive, primitive, doesn't really matter.
Now, if y'all haven't noticed, our country does have a God problem right now. Nobody believes in the Most High. Nobody believes in, doing right and receiving right. Nobody wants to acknowledge that this exists because, it goes along with their being demoralized process that if they acknowledge a creator or a God, then that must mean there's consequences for their immorality. And they don't want to acknowledge that. They want to acknowledge that they want to justify their immorality. You know what I mean? So it's a mind fuck. And even the people that do believe in a God or something like that is ridiculing other people who believe in God but don't believe in it the same way they do, which is also a part of this. That's the first stages of tearing down the image of a creator or a God. Is y'all fighting over what the hell God's name is and all this other shit. Y'all part of it too.
As long as the basically accepted religious dogma is being slowly eroded and taken away from the supreme purpose of religion to keep people in touch with the supreme being, that serves the purpose. Therefore, replace it, accepted, respected religious organizations with fake organizations. Distract people's attention from the real faith and attract them to various different faiths. Education. Distract them from learning something which is constructive, pragmatic, efficient. Instead of mathematics, physics, foreign languages, chemistry, teach them history of urban warfare, natural food, home economy, your sexuality, anything, as long as it takes you away.
And this one is more controversial, okay? Because people are protected and stuff like that by this platform and all that type of shit. So, we all do respect, the teaching of the pronouns and bringing the people to the reading hour with the I can't really say too much. Y'all got to just really understand what I'm saying here. With kids, okay? They're initiating this. They're indoctrinating kids. They're doing all type of crazy shit in schools right now, man. Okay? that the government is back in there writing laws into play, all type of shit to protect this, okay? But yeah, in a nutshell, you know, whatever, salute to YouTube, salute to everybody else, you know, they are more worried about teaching pronouns and all the other type of shit than they are anything else. Psychological warfare. Let's continue.
Okay? Social life. Replace traditionally established institutions and organizations with fake organizations. Take away the initiative from people. Take away the responsibility from naturally established links between individuals, group of individuals, and society at large, and replace them with artificially, bureaucratically controlled bodies. Instead of social life and friendship between neighbors, establish social workers institutions. People who are on payroll of whom? Society? No. Bureaucracy. The main concern of social workers is not your family, not you, not social relations between groups of people. The main concern is to get the paycheck from the government. What will be the result of their social work doesn't really matter. They can develop all kind of concepts to show to the government and to the people that they're useful. Okay, away from the natural links, power structure. Okay, the natural bodies of administration, which are traditionally either elected by people at large or appointed by elected leaders of society, are being actively substituted by artificial bodies. The bodies of people, groups of people, whom nobody elected. Never. As a matter of fact, most of the people don't like them at all, and yet they exist. One of such group is media. Who elected them? How come they have so much power? Almost monopolistic power on your mind. They can raise your mind. But who elected them? How come they have a nerve to decide what is good and what is bad for the elected by you, president, and his administration?
And it's the same media that could tell you that everybody owes you something, the white man's coming to get you, boogeyman, and all this other type of shit. This is the same media think about this. This media was put in place to demoralize you. And what it tells you is all this shit that you actually regurgitate onto society. You actually go out there, oh, somebody owes me something, and oh, they're mean, they're oppressive. And just wait till he gets to this part.
Who the hell are they? Spiro Agnew, who was hated by the liberal left, called them a bunch of enfeebled snobs. And that's exactly what they are. They think they know. They don't. The level of mediocrity. In a big establishment like New York Times, Los Angeles Times, major television network, you don't have to be excellent journalist. You have to be exactly a mediocre journalist. That's easier to survive. There's no competition anymore. You have your good, nice income, $100,000 a year. That's it. Whether you are better or worse doesn't really matter anymore. As soon as you're smiling to the camera and do your job. That's it. No more competition. Power structure slowly is eroded by the bodies and groups of people who do not have neither qualification nor the will of people to keep them in power, and yet they do have power. Okay. Together with that, there is another process. Law enforcement, law and order organization and structure is being eroded. For the last 20, 25 years, if you see old movies and new movies, you can see that in new movies, a policeman, an officer of the United States Army looks dumb, angry, psychotic, paranoid. A criminal looks nice, kind of, well, he smokes hash and shoots the whatever drug, but basically he's a nice human being. He's creative. And he's unproductive only because society oppresses him.
Now, he hit that on the head, because every time you do bring up the fact that there's a lot more violence in the hood than there is anywhere else, people get these excuses going like, oh, we got this excuse. It's because the oppression of the white man or the oppression of the capitalist or the systematic depression, racism, and whatever the fuck they want to say. This dude just told you that this is a Marxist plan. This is right out the playbook. Then people wonder why, like in all our movies, they glorify the criminal and then they demonize the authority figure or the figure that corrects people and shit like that, makes the police look bad and all this, and wonder why y'all actually glorify criminal life, myself included. I was a dumbass. I grew up on these type of movies and shit like that, thought they was cool. They was the people I wanted to be like. But this is a Marxist trick. This is right out the fucking playbook. But this motherfuckers out here like, oh shit, I got a reason to commit crimes and everything. Everything I do is somebody else's fault. Don't even know that you brainwashed by Marxism.
Whereby a general of Pentagon is always by definition a war maniac. A policeman is a pig, rude policeman. He abuses his power. You know? A generalization like that. The hatred, the mistrust to the people who are supposed to protect you and enforce law and order. Moral relativity. The Angelo Buono process lasted 2 years in Los Angeles. And yet there are still some lawyers who say, look, he's a nice character, as a matter of fact. There was some witness who said, also a criminal, who said, well, he's a nice guy. I asked him one day to burn a house of my enemy, and he wouldn't do it. He's a nice fella. Erosion. A slow substitution of basic moral principles, whereby a criminal is not a criminal, actually. He's a defendant. Even if his guilt is proven, there is still a doubt. To kill or not to kill, to be or not to be. Thou shalt not kill, yes. But this line may not necessarily be applicable to a murderer. Thou shalt not murder. That should be the presumption, not that thou shalt not kill.
When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the K.G.B, or psychological warfare.
And see, there's a lot of demoralized people in this country that when you use words like psychological and ideological, they will never understand what that means. And even if you tell them what it means, they will have a comeback or an excuse for it. You know what I mean? Because it has to do with morale and immorality and stuff like that, that we've already been demoralized to the point where there is no right and wrong. Everything is subjective. Everything is, eye of the beholder, and you know what I mean? So if I tell you ideological warfare is based on like people who have morality versus people who are immoral, they won't even, subscribe to that or believe to that, because, people who are really demoralized fight for, the bad stuff we do, we tend to justify it so we don't feel the guilt and the shame. So when you bring up psychological and ideological warfare to these people, they feel like you're judging them or attacking them. This is straight out the Marxist book, okay? Y'all are considered like the defectors who look at America like this big hateful thing, but the only thing you think anybody that criticizes immoral behavior is hateful. You think anybody that has a problem with your bullshit is mean or is hateful or anything like that. That's where this ideology comes from.
What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions.
And right out their playbook is to change the perception of reality. They've done that so well that y'all argue and you got these points that, perception is reality. Look, that is right out their playbook. Y'all are programmed literally, okay? The perception of reality, they've done this so well that it is in your like spiritual rhetoric that perception is reality and there is no ultimate truth. There is no actions and consequences. For every action there's a reaction. There is none of that. Everything is just coincidence, Big Bang Theory at its best. This is just This is just what we make it. Do what thou wilt. If I believe it's right, it's right. You know what I mean? This is right out their playbook, and we are programmed to regurgitate this shit on the people as if we're saying some spiritual shit. Okay? You sound dumb when you say this shit, but you really think you saying some deep shit. That's how cold this Marxist ideology is and how far they've gotten with this shit on us.
In the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism.
And we wonder why the stuff that we learned in school is now considered like old knowledge and old teachings from bigots and stuff like that that don't make sense. And then we'd be like, well, how do we know that this shit we teach that y'all teaching us now isn't going to change in 20 years? And then they go, oh, science evolves. Don't worry about that. You basically telling us we're wrong about everything else. Everything we know is wrong, and everything they're teaching us now is 100% right. But it will change because science evolves. So they're telling us it's not right. It's just evolving because they're just teaching us bullshit. Okay, this is just, ideological warfare. Nothing to see here, folks. Okay, we're your enemy. We're here trying to indoctrinate y'all and demoralize you so we could just take over. All right, let me just relax here. Everything I just said is complete bullshit. All right, this is just for entertainment purposes. I saw this in a movie. Okay, relax.
American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom.
Sound familiar? I mean, you could show these people all type of stuff, make as many videos as you want, showing them all type of shit that somebody with a moral compass would see and their minds would be blown. Because if you got a moral compass, you can see when somebody is moral and immoral. You could just see it right then and there. And you got this discernment. You got this way to put things together and shit like that. But you could show these people irrefutable proof, and they'll still hit you with you're a conspiracy theorist, because their media told them to dismiss anything that falls under the guidelines of what they consider to be conspiracy theories, even though this is the same media hired to keep you, ignorant of these situations, so you actually don't combat the enemy that's in here. Instead, you defect, like the dude said up in here. And the only things they tend to believe when there's like some sort of proof, quote unquote, and footage or something like that, is if it actually supports their ideologies. Like, say if they see one little edited clip of a cop beating up a black guy or beating up a Hispanic guy or Asian guy or whatever, as long as the cop is white, you know what I mean? They can see one little clip taken out of context on that, and all of a sudden, right then and there, they believe there's some corruption going on. That's actually called a confirmation bias.
When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis.
Just like how y'all, you think, everything that's happening is normal. Like, your hatred towards like the government, thinking that the oppression is out to get you and all this other type of stuff. Remember, that's a Marxist trait. That's their ideology. That's you regurgitating that and being programmed by it. So you think like, okay, America is this big racist system or whatever like that, and they got you actually hating your own country, defecting against it, and to the point where this other part of the government steps in to play the savior, like the Democrats or whatever like that. They got y'all siding with the enemy completely, and now they get to walk in because everything is normalized now. Their whole ideology that was once looked at as radical and was a threat to all of us is now actually just normalized, and that's the traits that we take on. What they wanted to normalize, all that stuff, the Marxist ideology, we take on them traits now. We are normalized, and we are, primed for takeover at this point.
To destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of K.G.B. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades.
And somebody y'all are familiar with, Malcolm X. When he found out he was basically a Marxist pawn, he ended up speaking out against it. And I know they dressed it up that, the Nation of Islam did all this, did all that, but that was a part of him actually exposing this whole system that was using him as a pawn for this whole leftist agenda, which was, if you haven't figured it out by now, is all Marxist ideology. All right, it's all to demoralize, destabilize, and normalize this type of shit so we can be inhabited and taken over by whoever the hell this enemy is. When he started rebelling against it and opening his mouth against it, same thing with JFK, all these other people, they killed him. Okay, we don't need you no more. You're starting to know too much. You're on to our bullshit. Time to kill you. Because he was normalized at first. He bought into the whole ideology. Got normalized, then started waking up, realizing shit, and then he's out of there.
It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking with every second. It's the same pattern everywhere. The same pattern everywhere.
And y'all been so normalized by this agenda that when somebody say it's the same pattern everywhere, you're like, well, that don't mean it could be like that here, because you got that psychopathic way of thinking. You know, the same actions never get different results. So you would think that, okay, that should happen in 50 different countries. It's happening here, but that don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand. They're completely brainwashed. And you could tell them, look, all this shit happened in all these countries. This is the Marxist agenda. This is how it happens. This is what the fuck it is, and all that other type of shit. And they will decline to believe it because they're so comfortable in their own immorality. They feel like you're judging them if they're telling you to look into this type of thing. No, I'm not changing my damn negative ways, or you know what I'm saying. I like the fact that America is pitying the immoral. That's how they act. Immorality is subjective, is what they'll tell you. It's, you know, eye of the beholder, you know, perception is reality type of deal. And they'll never, ever believe this until, like dude said, till they get a kick in their ass. Okay? And I'm not here to save everybody. I don't care. I want some of y'all to get kicked in the ass. All right? I really do. Because what do I get for telling people this that don't believe, oh, you're judging, you're a bad person? Because God forbid that, you know, in their mind, a bad person is just somebody that criticizes bad behavior. A bad person is not someone that's doing bad shit because the bad shit they doing is in the eye of the beholder anyway. You criticizing their way of life is evil to them. So that is their ideology. That is how normalized they are by this agenda. That's why to these leftists and these normalized people, this is where the term normies come from, I just figured out. But to the leftists and these normalized people and these brainwashed people, the worst thing on the planet is a bigot. And what is a bigot? Somebody that looks down on immoral behavior, or somebody that looks down on, like, you know, somebody that, you know, begs, or, you know, just people that ain't upkept in life. You know what I mean? Somebody that's destabilized, that's immoral. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I hope this taught y'all a lot. You know, and it goes back to the ideology that he was saying about the police, and how these Marxists taught us that the criminal was pretty much the good guy and the police is the bad guy. Why is the police the bad guy? Because he's locking them up for doing immoral shit, crimes, you know, breaking the law and stuff like that. People who have a problem with that immorality is the bad guy in this country. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I mean, I know there's a kid or two watching this. Oh my God, you're judging us. You're a bigot, evil man. Well, let me just say this. This video is not intended for the viewership of anybody that falls under Marxist ideology or the leftist agenda. Okay, this is not for y'all. Nor am I pushing this onto y'all. This is for the people that I fuck with, you know, people that already rock with this type of stuff. Everything I said in this was complete entertainment, horse shit, whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, do not take this video serious. If you do come in here and, you know, oh my God, he's telling us we're immoral. It's not for you, all right? Okay, I'm gonna just sit back with my popcorn and watch y'all lined up against the wall when they come blasting in this country, okay? So y'all get up out of here. But, you know, y'all let me know what y'all think of in the comments. If you learned something, you know, I ain't woke, I'm up, bitch.
Crucial 13, you all appreciate it. Shout out to you.
Get crucial.
I'm hungry. I need some bacon.
Look at this.
Look at it. This is the city I'm in right now.
This a message from America. We struggling to keep the peace. Biggest cover up in the world.